Alright guys, in this video we're going to look at what lead arm tension is and some just kind of key things to focus in on during the lead arm path. So first off, what is the lead arm path? So the lead arm path is essentially exactly what it sounds like, meaning it's the path in which the lead arm takes, and what we're going to discuss in this video is how to optimize that. So when we're specifically talking about the lead arm path, we're talking about pretty much about the portion of the delivery where we're getting to bottom of leg decline, as you can see with Cease here, all the way through drive phase right before we begin to rotate, and then as we begin to rotate into front foot strike. So that's kind of what I'm referring to when I talk about lead arm path. So let's talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to use Marcus Stroman here on the right side of my screen. So what do we want to see from the lead arm path? So lead arm path, couple things I look for is one, as we get to bottom of leg decline, where is the arm positioned? Meaning, where is this lead arm? So a couple things to keep in mind. One, we want the hand or the wrist in a pronated position, meaning thumb pointed downwards. Two, we want the lead arm to be at about shoulder height. Now it can be slightly above or slightly below. But what we don't want is we don't really want it to be way up here, although you'll see some pitchers do that, or way down here, which you won't see many pitchers do. But in relatively speaking, we want it to be somewhere around shoulder height. As we can see here with both of these examples, we can see that we're both at about shoulder height here. Stroman being pretty much perfectly at shoulder height, Cease being just slightly above. So these are two good examples of what we want out of our lead arm path. Another thing is, and this is kind of where we'll get into lead arm tension, is ultimately the role of the lead arm during the leg decline and drive phase is to help keep the player counter rotated and keep the player closed rotationally. So if the lead arm were to just shoot out directly in front of the shoulder, kind of in like this position, what you would see is you wouldn't see any counter rotation of the player's torso, meaning in this case with Marcus Stroman, the hitter could clearly see the number on the back of his jersey. And here with Cease, I know we're at a kind of a diagonal angle on both of these, but you would clearly be able to see the number on the back of Dylan Cease's jersey. This is very important as this helps us maximize the amount of rotational range we have in our throw. So in both of these cases, we can see that the lead arm is creating tension, meaning that the lead arm is holding the player in a counter-rotated position and allowing them to drive down the mound while holding counter-rotation with the torso, so that as we begin to horizontally abduct the shoulder, horizontally abduct the lead arm, what you're going to see is it's going to allow the player to be in the correct position at front foot strike as a result of this lead arm tension. So, and we'll touch on that here now. So let's take a look at Marcus Stroman first. So what we can see is that as a result of this lead arm tension, that this arm being closed here in this position, as he starts to rotate into essentially pelvic opening into front foot strike, as we see this lead arm horizontally abducting, meaning moving this way, what we're going to see is that as it horizontally abducts, by the time he gets to front foot strike, we can see that his shoulders are now in perfect alignment with where he's trying to throw the baseball. We can see that the pelvis is slightly open at about a 45-degree angle. You could get anywhere from 45 degrees to fully open facing the target. We can see here, though, that more importantly for this video, that as a result of holding that lead arm tension, it allows him the ability to rotate and horizontally abduct the lead arm, but still be perfectly positioned at front foot strike where the shoulders are right in alignment with the target in which he's trying to throw the baseball. So this is a perfect example of why we must create this lead arm tension. You must create lead arm tension so that as you begin to horizontally abduct the lead arm and lead shoulder, it allows you to be perfectly sequenced and in the perfect position at front foot strike. So very, very, very important to hold that lead arm tension. And again, the lead arm path being right at shoulder height, as we can see here, as he starts to open up, it just puts him in a perfect position as he gets into front foot strike. So that is why we want lead arm tension, is so that as we begin to horizontally abduct the lead arm and lead shoulder into front foot strike, we end up sequenced and in the perfect position to deliver the baseball. Let's take a look at Dylan Cease here. So we can see as he begins to horizontally abduct that shoulder, meaning pull it towards his back or backside, towards first base in this example, what do we see? We see him horizontally abducting, and where does he end up? in a perfect position where his shoulders are right in alignment with the target, really in the perfect position where he can deliver the baseball with force and with accuracy. So that's what we want to see. And again, we can see that his pelvis is at least at that 45-degree angle. He's probably more a 70 or 80-degree guy, where he does a really good job getting that pelvis open while the shoulders are in alignment with the target. So when talking about lead arm tension, again, to recap, what we're looking for is that the player holds lead arm tension, creates that counter rotation with the torso, and holds it throughout the drive phase with the lead arm. And as the player begins to rotate into front foot strike and horizontally abduct the lead arm, it allows them to be perfectly sequenced to where when they land, remember, we want the shoulders right in line with where we're trying to deliver the baseball to. So in this video, we touched on lead arm tension. And then to recap on the lead arm path, we want the lead arm pronated during the drive phase so that we can supinate it as we begin to rotate. And then we also want the arm at shoulder height throughout the drive phase, give or take. You can be slightly above, slightly below. But generally, I've analyzed dozens of pros on this. And what you'll see is that the majority of pros are in the slightly above to slightly below range with the lead arm in comparison to the shoulder. So quick video here on lead arm tension and kind of what we're looking for, and then as well as the lead arm path. So definitely you want to make sure that this is something you're doing in your mechanics. Again, if we were to see a player that wasn't doing this and they weren't creating that lead arm tension, what oftentimes you're going to see is that you're going to see the torso rotate prematurely. There will be some premature horizontal abduction where as we begin to horizontally abduct the lead arm, you'll see the pitcher land in a chest open position, something like this at front foot strike usually. And that's really limiting our rotational range into ball release. And it's just going to really, really significantly reduce the amount of velocity we can throw with. So definitely make sure you're doing this in your mechanics. If this is something I prescribed of you, definitely check out the throwing drills, as this is a very important problem to solve. So thanks for watching.